Thank you for joining us today. This is one of our Ask the Experts webinars. These are one of our many educational programs that we have for people with Parkinson's and care partners. Today, our talk is going to focus more on the care partner perspective, but we welcome and encourage people with Parkinson's to be on this call as well. The format of this webinar is going to be a PowerPoint presentation followed by a Q&A. But if you have any questions pop up or if you're having any technical difficulties, feel free to use either the chat or the Q&A button that are at the bottom of your screen just to let me know and I can help try and troubleshoot that for you. But then at the very end, we'll have a designated time for you to ask questions. This video is going to be recorded and then posted to our YouTube channel. So please share it with anyone who is unable to join today because we have some really lovely guests joining us. We're lucky to have two speakers today, Rebecca and Larry Gifford. Rebecca is a writer, workshop facilitator, and Parkinson's advocate. Larry is president and co-founder of the Global Alliance to End Parkinson's Disease, also known as the PD Avengers. He was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's in 2017. Together, Rebecca and Larry host the podcast When Life Gives You Parkinson's, and they live in Vancouver, British Columbia with their 16-year-old son. So now for the rest of the webinar, I'm going to hand it over to them. They'll introduce themselves a little bit more, and then they have a presentation that they have created for you all.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. And thank you to the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center for having us be part of this series. We're honored and excited to be here to talk with you and hopefully maybe start a conversation. And so please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll be addressing those later, even if it's just a comment. We love the conversation and the back and forth of that. And hopefully we'll provoke some ideas or thoughts from you as well with what we're presenting here. So as Jackie mentioned, my name is Rebecca Gifford. I'm a writer, workshop facilitator, writing coach, and communications professional. I am wife and partner in Parkinson's to Larry Gifford. He's just right down the hall from me. I just find it a little easier to do it with two separate screens, but he's just right there. And some of you may know our podcast that Jackie mentioned, When Life Gives You Parkinson's, that we did for 6 years. Larry's going to introduce himself as well.
Hi, I'm Larry Gifford. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2017. I had deep brain stimulation in 2023. I co-founded the PD Avengers, a global alliance to end Parkinson's disease, making it impossible to ignore and impossible to underfund Parkinson's. From Vancouver, Rebecca, our 16-year-old son, and I see the stakes of Parkinson's every day. My focus is advocacy that delivers accelerating diagnosis and access to therapies, increased federal funding, protecting people from toxic chemicals, and elevating care partners. Rebecca and I are navigating this journey together. I'll be coming back into the conversation later. Today, we're focusing on the care partner journey.
And just a little bit more introduction into my background, just because it's prescient context for kind of what informs what I'm going to be talking about today. But I've been involved in care partner programming for a few different organizations that some of you may know, including the World Parkinson Congress and Coalition, PD Avengers, the Brian Grant Foundation, PMD Alliance, the Brain Wellness Program here in British Columbia. For anybody who may know British Columbia, it's a wonderful program that's for people here in British Columbia with brain and neurological issues. And I also am involved with planning and producing and providing a care partner voice on the podcasts and webinars for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So this is my way of telling you that along with being a Parkinson's advocate, I also consider myself a care partner advocate. I think that's an important term and I would love to hear it more and more. This talk is informed by my own experience as a care partner, but also my experiences consuming and facilitating care partner-oriented programming, and also talking to all of the wonderful care partners and caregivers that I've met and worked with over these years. So I'm going to talk about self-care and kind of its relationship to advocacy. We're going to tie those two things together today. So self-care is a big part of any conversation involving care partners, as many of you care partners know, and the roles we play in our shared care partner journey. and our shared Parkinson's journey. So we hear a lot about how it's important to be mindful of our own health and well-being, the risk of burnout and health complications if we don't. And you've probably already heard things along these lines from many times from people like me or from the wonderful people and healthcare practitioners on your own team and circle. So I'm always torn because I love talking about the ways I take care of myself, meditation and mindfulness practices, dance and exercise, spirituality, my writing practice, and my community. You've probably also experienced and heard people talk about how difficult it is to take care of ourselves, to make time for ourselves amidst the additional worry, time constraints, and responsibility of being a care partner or caregiver. But a conversation I'd like to hear more about is why we should take care of ourselves. So for me, reframing the why, rethinking that, and how that's evolved over time has helped me prioritize my own wellness and change how Larry and I move through this journey together. It also has motivated my advocacy in a lot of ways. So we're going to start to share our slides here. So what do I mean by reframing? So here's the phrase we often hear when it comes to self-care. The better you take care of yourself, the better able you are to take care of others. While that oft-repeated phrase is true, I propose that it's not the whole truth, nor is it the truth that as care partners should focus on when prioritizing our own well-being, when choosing programming to participate in, when making time for ourselves, and when advocating for ourselves. Here's a way to reframe the why. So as care partners and caregivers, we deserve care and support because, like everyone, we want to live our lives as fully as possible. So our lives happen to be affected significantly by someone with health changes and the time that we spend taking care of them. So this makes it more difficult to maintain our own health and to make our needs and wellness a priority. So it's taking the old frame and broadening it and making it more focused on what do we need. So Parkinson's is one part of our journey, but like the people with Parkinson's that we support, we are much more than their disease or our role in it. And as care partners, we need self-care and being cared for as much as our loved ones with Parkinson's. And I think it's important to note that our needs, desires, and challenges are typically very different from our loved one. Now, you may hardly agree with what I've said here, nodding enthusiastically, saying to yourself, of course, this is how we should look at taking care of ourselves. I'm that person too. But if you're like me, you also understand that these ideas are easy to agree with and difficult to live out. So I'll give you a little perspective from my own story. It talks about that a bit. So after Lori was diagnosed 8 years ago, it took us a while to find ourselves as a couple and as a partnership. We weren't just Larry and Beck anymore. We also were a person living with Parkinson's and his care partner. And we didn't know how to navigate that. So what does that mean for us as individuals with individual identities and needs? And what does that mean for our relationship? In the beginning, it meant that Larry's Parkinson's became the main focus of everything. It was top priority always, which meant he was top priority. And I was okay with that because at the time, I didn't know how else to do it. I thought that's what being a good care partner, in quotes, was. My well-being came after Larry's, right? So over time, we of course discovered that this isn't sustainable, it isn't fair, and it isn't healthy. So one of the ways that we started to figure out what all this meant to us was through our podcast, When Life Gives You Parkinson's. It started out being Larry telling his story. It was in a regular segment at the end of most of the podcasts where we chatted about the content or simply how we were doing. My voice was there, but it was definitely his story being told. As we began to engage more with the Parkinson's community, I became more knowledgeable. I met more care partners and couples and families, participated in programs and went to events. I realized that in the community, the care partner story was there. It was always moving and motivating and challenging, especially to fellow care partners, but it wasn't being told as much or valued as much. So care partner specific programming, this was 8 years ago, 7 to 8 years ago. So care partner specific programming was just starting to become a thing. So I started producing and hosting care partner focused episodes of the podcast. I thought, well, I'll start to fill that gap a little bit. So soon my story became more of our story. We talked more and shared more about how we were facing certain things as a couple, and we incorporated other care partner stories as well. Then eventually I became a full-fledged co-host. It took a few seasons, but my voice and the larger care partner voice became equally valued and equally heard on our podcast. And all of this was an accurate reflection of what I was learning outside the podcast as well. So in life, I was learning how to better advocate for myself and my own family, but also advocate for myself and my fellow care partners within the larger community. And it also accurately reflected how Larry and I were beginning to balance both of our needs as we navigated Parkinson's together. Through this process, I discovered the mindset I choose to lean into every day as I face Parkinson's with my husband. And notice I said lean into, because honestly, I still struggle with this, as we all do, I'm guessing. So some days are easier than others to prioritize myself, my voice, and my wellness. And as a care partner, I often don't know how challenging it may be until I know what Larry is facing with his Parkinson's that day. So here are some ideas and questions that help me when I think I may be getting into the weeds on this and when I need to kind of reset my own mindset a bit and get back into the reframing that I talked about. So first, I start by acknowledging and giving myself a break, because balancing all of this is hard. It just is. We are human, not superhuman. We all have those bad days when the stress takes over and we rant or blame or say something we wish we hadn't. Larry and I have days when our communication just doesn't work. It's like passing ships in the night. And I forget that many of our struggles can go into what we call the Parkinson's bucket. This is to borrow a phrase from our friends Tina and Craig Gillespie in Australia. So I get angry or I start an argument about something he has no control over, like forgetting something I told him, or he's not noticing I need help with something because there's too much going on around him, and so many other examples. None of us are perfect care partners all the time. Give yourself some grace in the face of the stress and the delicate balance we are trying to maintain. I also remind myself that this reframing is also a deprogramming and reprogramming of sorts, at least for me. And it's not what I was modeled by those around me before becoming a care partner myself. So this reframing requires practice and forming new neural pathways or strengthening existing ones. It also helps me to ask some questions when I feel myself leaning away from the prioritizing my self-care to help me assess how I'm doing. So am I valuing myself and caring for myself equally to my loved ones? Am I taking advantage of all the opportunities available to support me in this? This was one that I had to learn over time, engaging with the support and the programs and the community that's available to me within the Parkinson's community and the brain health community. And am I spending time with people who support me prioritizing myself? If you're spending time more around people a lot who are expecting you to lean into the old framing or to always prioritize the person who's dealing with a health issue, more significant health issue, over yourself, you may want to rethink how you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, and be sure that you're spending your time with people who are supportive of this new reframing. And if you answer no to any of these questions, perhaps it's time to ask why. If you don't have what you need to prioritize your own well-being, become your own advocate. Ask for support, and this could be from loved ones, healthcare providers, in your support team, Parkinson's organizations. I'm fortunate to have a husband and a close circle of friends and family who are very supportive of me prioritizing my own well being. But sometimes even they, these wonderful people, need to be made aware of an unmet need or a circumstance that may be making it difficult to accomplish this, that they may be unaware of. So, an example of this for me is in our family, me asking for a break when I feel myself moving towards burnout. And that could be to get away, for a hike, or for a couple of hours, to ask them to take on more daily tasks or responsibilities. And like so many of us, I'm pretty good at masking when I'm not doing well, just so I can move forward. I'm working on creating the habit of noticing the signs of burnout before I get there, sharing when I'm not doing well, and asking for the break I need. And like all of us, I'm still working on that. So this means I have to advocate for myself and ask for support from my family, and sometimes discern what I need when I need help from folks outside of that circle, even a therapist or a social worker. Sometimes the support can come from organizations and institutions that exist to support the community. Because remember, most of them also intend to support care partners in addition to people with Parkinson's. So, and sometimes they, even the very extremely well-intentioned organizations, sometimes they need a little help recognizing how and when you might need support. So give yourself a voice in the community. Start speaking up for yourself and your needs, as well as your person with Parkinson's. If you're not hearing the language or seeing the programming that reflects your needs or this reframing that I've been talking about, if you choose to lean into it, then start that conversation in your community. So this reframing has become a big part of my self-care. Remembering the why helps me prioritize my own well-being, and it gives me a framework to start that conversation with myself and with those around me when I need to. It also motivates me to support my fellow care partners through programming and initiating these conversations in the community. And in this way, advocacy has become a crucial part of my own self-care and well-being. So this reframing, this advocacy, also plays a big role in my relationship with Larry and how we moved forward together in this Parkinson's journey. So now is a great time to reintroduce Larry into the conversation. So this webinar is about how we navigate our Parkinson's journey together and how we incorporate self-care into that journey. Larry's going to continue to show you how advocacy and sharing our story has played a large role in both our shared journey and also how we individually take care of ourselves. So with that, I'll turn it over to my adorable husband. Larry, take it away.
Thanks, honey. That was very awesome. But I'm biased. Movements don't start with budgets. They start with a story someone can't ignore. That line anchors how we think about self-care. Sharing our story reduced isolation, gave us language, and recruited allies who make the day-to-day lighter. Appointments, information, even encouragement. Storytelling wasn't PR for us. It was health maintenance for our family system. When the truth is visible, support finds you faster. And here's how we put that into action. We launched a show because we couldn't find one that said the quiet parts out loud. We wanted an honest version, grief and grit, but also permission to still have a life. That choice, pressing record, was self-care move. It connected us to people who spoke our language and reduced uncertainty through shared experience. That community became part of our care plan. Dr. Ray Dorsey once told me, if people with Parkinson's don't start sharing their stories, we'll never build enough awareness to find a cure. And that shook me. Being a radio guy for 30 years, I was a storyteller. If I wasn't willing to share my story, how could I ask anybody else to? Over 6 seasons, Rebecca and I tackled what we were living. Diagnosis truths, neurodegenerative, progressive, no cure, how to still have a life and communicate and work through apathy. Yay. Listeners said the show gave them words for clinic visits and family talks, and that matters. Stigma hates daylight. Biggest lessons we learned: stories recruit allies. And once you see the person behind the data, you can't look away. We spent several years raising funds through the Parkinson Super Walks, and our son continues the tradition with Spinning Wheels Bike Tour. Awareness and money equals momentum. Fundraising looked like miles, but it functioned like capacity. Programs, evidence, and reach we could lean on. When dollars reflect what patients say they need, fundraising is advocacy. And advocacy done right is self-care because it reduces daily friction for families. With momentum building, it's time to organize that energy. In 2020, we launched the PD Avengers to give doers a home. Our framework is simple: wellness, advocacy, and research. Wellness covers practical tools and care partner support. Advocacy moves policy and awareness. Research centers on lived experience. The result is repeatable scaffolding any city can use, self-care at a system scale. At PD Avengers small wins scale. For years, if you type in Parkinson's on the search bar for Wikipedia, it was an image of a sketch of an old man from the 1880s all took over. But we replaced that with photos that reflect real diversity, ages, and genders. And now Barbara Matthews, who has Parkinson's, is illustrating people from different ethnic backgrounds. Representation reduces fear for the newly diagnosed. It seems small, but millions see it. Quiet wins like this lower stigma and give families a better first impression and another form of care. In 2022, I was privileged to be the only person with Parkinson's in a World Health Organization workshop shaping a global plan. Work that produced the first World Health Organization technical brief on Parkinson's, the very first one, and a Journal of American Medical Association article outlining 6 action steps. The lesson: partnerships can change systems, referrals, affordability standards, and showing up. Showing up to support groups and conferences changes minds room by room. When the system stops fighting you, system care becomes self-care. 4 years ago, PD Avengers introduced the Spark, an international symbol of Parkinson's awareness, rooted in dopamine, the chemistry behind movement, motivation, and the disease itself. It also means ignition, a movement catching fire in communities worldwide. The Spark is customizable so people and organizations can make it their own. Shared symbols build belonging, and belonging lowers stress and sustains effort. Spark gives us a banner to gather under. From introducing the Spark to creating a global campaign called Spark the Night. Spark the Night is every April 11th, World Parkinson's Day. We coordinate the lighting of buildings, bridges, landmarks, blue. Pulls in mayors, media, and best of all, new advocates. Lighting a city blue recruits civic allies and new volunteers. It's a visible ritual that reminds families you're not alone. This year, we're pushing for 1,000 sites. In 2024, we ran the sleep survey. 1,248 people with Parkinson's and 286 caregivers across 27 countries and in 7 different languages decided to take our survey. 96% said sleep is impacted by Parkinson's, with about 3 awakenings a night and roughly 6 nighttime symptoms each night. Caregivers aren't spared. 88% report disrupted sleep and real emotional and physical strain. Night is where PD punishes both partners. Naming the pattern makes it actionable. Better med timing, sleep referrals, safer bedrooms, caregiver support, and region-specific approaches, especially for better protocols with women. So what can you do? Where do you come in? Well, people with Parkinson's and care partners can work with advocacy organizations. You can share your story. You can recruit 3 people to join you. You can invite 1 local official to your next local event. There's a lot of things you can do. To bring this presentation full circle, care partners aren't sidekicks, they're co-authors. People with Parkinson's aren't burdens, we're builders. And our journey works when we co-author it. Advocacy makes our love visible. Self-care keeps us resourced. We don't pick between hope and action. We choose both by building together.
So I think that's really important. And I love when Larry came up with this language. Care partners are co-authors. People with Parkinson's are builders. All of these are positive takes on our roles. We spend a lot of time focusing on the things that we can't do, understandably, because that's constantly changing, and there seems to be every day, every month, every year more restrictions and limitations to what we can do. But there's still so much that we can do, and focusing on the cans is what he's doing here with this language. And that's where hope and action can really kind of take hold and be powerful. So take a screenshot of this if you would like. This is lots of information here. So you may not be able to write it fast enough. If you want to reach out to us, find out more about what we do and what PD Ventures does, or just reach out and continue the conversation. But that's the end of our formal presentation. We really appreciate your attention. Thank you to everyone who showed up today for this conversation and to hear what we have to say. And we're eager to hear what questions you may have. I have a question that says, my partner is not the type who's comfortable expressing himself and prefers not to share or acknowledge. Fair enough. Yeah. And and I understand that. Everybody's in a different place with expressing themselves, and communication is different with every partnership. And so not acknowledging here publicly, but also, in our marriage and in our partnership, Larry and I sometimes struggle to share our emotions, and especially if they're new emotions or really difficult emotions, things that's really hard to be honest about with our partner. Communication is so important to maintaining that relationship, but it becomes harder and harder as the Parkinson's progresses, but also as the emotions that you would normally share with your partner are more difficult to express because they're more challenging or more deeply felt, or it's emotions you're uncomfortable with, like anger or fear, and so that can challenge our communication as well. I have a question. How do we keep engaging in conversation about daily tensions as a means for personal and couple growth while living with Parkinson's? For me and Larry, and I'll give Larry a chance to respond as well, but for me and Larry, it's communication is really important to us, and maintaining and keeping that muscle kind of conditioned in our relationship so that when the tough stuff comes up, we're relatively prepared, or at least have some tools to be able to move through it, even if we're not doing it perfectly well. It's just kind of being okay with that it's uncomfortable and allowing yourself to be in the discomfort of that.
Yeah, and I think part of this is resetting your communication. Every 6 months, Rebecca and I have to sit down and go, okay, this is how I'm communicating now, or this is what I'm trying to say when I say this or that, and it changes. We used to be great communicators. We used to intuit what each other were thinking and what they'd say, and that's all out the window now. And so we have to constantly reinvent how we communicate.
Yeah.
And you have to be vigilant about it.
Yeah, managing expectations. And then just kind of, Larry and I also, we've made an agreement early on when communication started to be more of a struggle. Is it okay to say the hard things? And the answer is different for every partnership. But is it okay to say the hard things, or would you prefer that I hold back and talk to other people about that? Or what kind of agreement or rules or guidelines that you have for how you communicate and what you're willing to communicate about and how, and establishing kind of a comfortable circle where where you kind of know how this is going to work and what the expectations are.
So follow up. His disease, however, that means I have to be extra vigilant. He talks more to me, but doesn't want to share with others. And
Yes,
that
Allison,
happened
I
to
get
us even early on.
Yeah, I get that. The vigilance and having and Larry is never he's never he never really had anxiety until including social anxiety. He was always very extroverted, very people oriented, very social. And then the Parkinson's kicked in, and he started having social anxiety, and so conversations and sharing with others became more challenging for him, and so he was relying upon me more in that way. So I'm always there's always like, trying to anticipate his needs or anticipate where he might be anxious or emotional or what's happening, and being his person became a greater challenge. So I don't know that there's no great advice. But I see you and I hear you, and I get that challenge and the vigilance just overall too. That's something that I hear care partners talk about, and all kinds of care partners, any kind of caregiver. That vigilance, just that, your nervous system is always just a little bit more on alert than it used to be, because you're always trying to anticipate what may be happening physically, mentally, emotionally for your person, and then also hopefully for yourself. So it requires just like I sometimes for me it verges into hypervigilance, and that's not good for anyone. But definitely a greater level of vigilance where that's concerned. And so and again, I don't know that there's a good answer for that, other than be easy with yourself, ask for help when you need it, have your tools in place for your own nervous system, whatever they may be, to help to bring that level of vigilance and fight or flight uh, nervous system, bring that kind of down to a little bit closer to homeostasis, and that's what's going to keep you from burnout.
Let me just add something here. It depends. Sometimes it depends on how long he's had the disease. If he's newer to the disease, or even if he's not, stigma can play a big role in this, especially when you're talking to people at the office or talking to people in the neighborhood, or you don't want to seem lesser than as somebody with Parkinson's. And that was a real hang up for me for the first part of my disease, especially. And then I decided one day okay, I got to either embrace this or it's going to gobble me up. And so I found the way to really take control of my Parkinson's was to accept it as this is, and only I could do that. I couldn't be told to accept it. Either, although Rebecca tried. And give her credit for
Sure. Hey, where are you on that acceptance process?
that.
Guys, we would like to see more exercise programs that involve both PWPs and care partners. It's a great idea, right?
We play ping pong together.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we created our own, I guess, because we do play
Yeah.
ping pong, which, as you may know, is really good for your brain, but it also gets your heart rate up, and it's just fun, right? That's playtime for us. But I think that's a great idea. So if you're not seeing that wherever you live, then advocate for that. Ask for that. Maybe they just never thought of it. Maybe there's an organization or a boxing class or whatever where they didn't know that there was an audience for that. They didn't know that there was a need for that or a desire. So
Yeah.
ask for it. And then if other people are interested too, ask them to ask for it. And then if they get enough people, then it works. Ping pong is a great example. Yeah, we love it together. We love playing that together.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something actually really important is since we're here talking about care partner and this journey together, is making sure that there's still play and things that have nothing to do with Parkinson's involved in your relationship. Playtime, things that make you laugh together, things that you enjoy doing together. We just went to a movie, and we both love movies, and we just did that, and we started doing that again. We had kind of stepped away from that because of other things, or it's difficult, or he needed an aisle seat, or whatever was the obstacle to it. But that's we just love that, and it's something we love doing together. And the ping pong is something that's new for us as well. And it's just play. it's just enjoying each other and having fun with each other. It's good for your relationship
Even
and
if it's
good
just for a
for,
half hour at a time.
yeah, we just do a half hour. It's great.
There are
There,
two other questions that came through here. One of them says, well, this is more of a comment. I'm struggling with too much togetherness. I find it hard to make time for me. I don't know if you have any comments or ways to address that.
it definitely does become the social circle tends to kind of close up over time because it's easier to do things together, or it's easier for the person with Parkinson's to keep things very small and manageable. And so we understand that that's happened for us as well.
I excuse myself from the room and I go to my office and I'll play with my Legos or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we can create that space within our home. We don't have to always be together.
Yeah, because we both work from home. This is my office, that's his office. We're in the same vicinity a lot. And so yes, that is a risk where it becomes your world becomes very, very small. I do understand though, and I want to acknowledge that I don't know what your practical situation is, whoever offered this question, but if you are a caregiver and so you are needed more during the day and they require more of your care, and you are in need of support or respite services or something where somebody can come in and help you, there may be more help for you available than you know. And so it might be some research, it might be calling organizations that have helplines that might be able to give you some information where that's concerned. There might be somebody out there in your social circle who's just waiting for some way to help you. A lot of people want to help. They don't want to be nudges about it and be bugging you all the time. Do you need anything? What can you do? They're waiting for you to tell them what you need and to ask for something. And so, can you come over and spend a couple of hours at my house while I go do a workshop or go to an exercise class or go to a movie on my own or do something that you need? Then ask for it. That's my I find that more people are willing to help and available to me than I am ever consciously, intentionally, presently aware of. And it's just they see your situation and they want to help. Kind people. There's so many kind people in this world.
Jackie, what was the other question?
So how does a group for both care partners and people with Parkinson's work? Problems, benefits, etc.
Oh, you mean having the support group together?
I believe so. Maybe do you know of any that work that way?
I don't.
I think that there are some that cross over. I want to say, look at the PMD Alliance website. I want to say that there are some where they have both. I know some of the smaller organizations do that because there are fewer people, and so they you know, appreciate having a care partner there for someone who needs a little bit more care, who's a little bit more progressed.
And a lot of
And
people
so
get
they've opened it up so that the care partner can also attend. But I do want to say, and I don't know if I just cut you off, honey, but I do want to say that if you can manage it, and if they do offer like a parallel situation where there's this room is for people with Parkinson's and this room is for care partners. And I know that there are some organizations, small local organizations who offer that. That can be really valuable as well, because there are things that the care partner needs, and the way the care partner would share is very different from the person with Parkinson's. Probably both parties are going to share a little bit more openly and honestly if the other person is not there. So there's value to going separately if you can manage it, but I do acknowledge that practically that can be really hard. And so that's maybe something that you need to advocate for and
yeah,
ask for.
I was just going to say that with care partners in the room or with PWP in the room, other people become apprehensive to share their true feelings as well, in maybe the most authentic way that they would have before without that.
And I would say that there are workshops and other things available that are for care partners only, and a lot of them for people with Parkinson's only. And if you can do that online, if you can do something that's for care partners only, then that's something that's really valuable. I have a care partner writing workshop that's coming up starting November 3rd, whatever that
Yes.
Monday is. Yeah, after Halloween. And if you go to PD Avengers website, then and look at the programs that will come up for you as well, can find out more about it. I also know that there are, through a lot of the writing workshops that I've done, so I'm sure they're doing it other ways, and the online workshops, there are a lot of them are open to both people with Parkinson's and care partners. So you can participate together, and a lot of them are sponsored, so they're offered for free. So if that's something, then it's easier for you to be sitting together doing it, so that you are sure that your person with Parkinson's is cared for and managed in that time. Then you have the ability to do that.
The care partners also always welcome in the improv classes.
Mm.
So if you go to Improv for Work and Wellness and look for what Improv for Parkinson's they have have good classes there that are going on all the time.
And they're going to be doing that Improv for Work and Wellness, going to be doing a care partner only improv group coming up too. And it'll be all online, and it's open to anyone who is a care partner. I'm excited about that. So the Improv for Work and Wellness, and it's literally improvforworkandwellness.com. Oh, there we go. Larry just put it in the chat. So yeah, it looks like everybody can see that. So Improv for Work and Wellness, and then PD Avenger, and then the care partner workshop is through PD Avengers. And again, that's free for care partners because it's sponsored by AbbVie. So you can find that under the, not resources, but the programs link page, I believe. If you click on word wellness is what it's called. You can find that care partner there. There's also
on the homepage. It's on the homepage. There's a little box you push.
Yeah, and then there's also a writing program, a monthly writing group that is open to both the people with Parkinson's and care partners through the Brian Grant Foundation. And so you would just go to Brian Grant Foundation and look up their events. Yep, there you go, briangrant.org. And then thanks, Larry, for being on top of it. And then I just think I remember being a new care partner and not knowing where to find things. So, and relying upon things like this, where, oh, that's an organization I've never heard of, and I didn't, oh, look at that resource, or look at that list of support groups, because there's so many support groups. Look at that list of support groups and resources and whatnot. And sometimes it takes something like this where you go, oh, that's a new organization to me. What do they have available? And then they have that thing that you need. So I'm so glad that you're asking about this and seeking resources and support. There's a lot out there. And then what you don't have, ask for it. That's my cheerleading for today.
Yeah.
Ask for it. Care partners, ask for it.
Jackie, is there another Q&A there?
Yeah, there is. This is a question for Rebecca. It says, can you give us specific examples of what you do for your own well-being and how much time that means away from Larry?
Well, I'm in a situation where Larry does not need a lot of my care. He needs a lot of support. And there are definitely lifestyle things that we have shifted, and he needs more from me than he used to. But I am not in a caregiving situation, so I can more easily get time away from Larry. But the things that I use, mindfulness and a meditation practice, that for me is tied to spirituality, and so that brings me a lot of solace and perspective. Kind of keeping up with that spiritual part of my practice. I have a writing practice, which is something I teach, and so I walk the talk, where I write nearly every day for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And I find that a great release, creative expression, whatever. It doesn't have to be writing. Any kind of creative expression is, I find that to be so useful for so many people, and definitely for myself and for Larry. Time in nature is important to me, even if it's just getting outside for a 5-minute walk. That actually is that, besides mindful breathing, are my two go-tos if I feel myself kind of getting to a burnout point. It helps me to break the stress cycle and give myself a break. It calms my nervous system down, it clears my brain. Um, what else, honey?
You exercise.
Stories. What'd you say?
You do dancing.
I do. And this is playtime for me, but it's also a form of exercise. But playtime, I mentioned that before. So the ping pong and I do this dance program, and I'm not a great dancer, but I love to dance, and so it's release for me, and I just love it. And even if, and it has little programs on it that are only 10 minutes long, and it's called Body Groove. For anybody, it's super positive, body positive, and geared towards kind of people who are not super young and don't want to be super fit. You just want to take care of yourself, and have fun while you do it. um, and so I would recommend that, or just put on good music and dance for 5 minutes. For me, that's just such a release, and it's such positive energy, and music gives you so much, right? That those are things that I do. There are some days, just to acknowledge where the question came from, there are some days where we also have a 16-year-old son who is neurodiverse. And so where it's really hard to carve out that time to just for me. So I manage my expectations where that's concerned. If I get 10 minutes of something that's really good quality and what I need, something that's responding to my needs, do I need to be outside of the house? Do I need to have quiet? Do I need to, whatever the specific, do I need to just play? Do I need to physically release things? Whatever that may be, just being in tune with myself and what I believe is going to help. Then, and doing that for whatever time I have, even if it's 10 minutes, and if I need to say, guys, I need 10 minutes. Can I get 10 minutes? Because the needs are coming, it's coming at me like this, and from all directions of this is what I need, and this is how I'm going to take over this time. And and our son is 16. So he's not super empathetic where that's concerned. He just kind of has his needs, and he's going to, right. So just dealing with that and accepting that situation and managing my expectations and getting a minimum, at least, of what I need. So I'm in a situation where I'm not caregiving 24/7, but it still is hard to carve out that time. And in a practical way, I hope that answers your question. In a practical way, that's how I go about that.
In PD groups, we encounter many more female care partners slash male with PD couples, even more than stats would predict. I think maybe they're wondering if you come across similar findings or uh, thoughts or comments on that.
Well, my initial reaction to that is women, even when they have the disease, are more inclined to be helping other people and not helping themselves. And so they're trying to make it okay that they have the disease for their families or whatnot, and they're not taking the time to care for themselves as much. And that's a very generic, um, big picture look at it, but I tend to think that's true.
It's acknowledging the gender programming that we're all working through. I didn't hear the full question because Jackie kind of cut out for me. So what is it that we're answering?
Well, they have support groups and whatnot, programming that involve people with Parkinson's and their care partners. The care partners are significantly more female than male,
Hmm.
and the males are significantly more with the disease, and even more than the stats would show.
Right. Yeah. Um, Interesting. Yeah. So, and I think that there is a perspective to acknowledge your acknowledgement of of the gender roles playing a role in that. And there is a specific viewpoint that I find for men who are struggling with their care partner role. And so that might be a time for you to advocate or form your own group. If you happen to be a man who is a care partner, seeking other men who are care partners, so that you can kind of commiserate about your unique situation and needs and gender programming and all the things that you're working through, to I think it's awesome that you're acknowledging that that's different and that there might be a need for that, and advocate with programs, with organizations. If you want a men's only group, care partner group, if you think that's valuable, if you're not seeing people like you in your group or represented, and so you're having a hard time finding, a person to share with or commiserate with, then they're out there. I happen to know several male care partners who are amazing. So I know that they exist and are out there, but they may not be in your area or in your group. And so I imagine that's hard. And
The other thing
it might be worth broadening your search.
the other thing that I think is relevant is we began to build our network of people from the World Parkinson Congress that was in Kyoto. And
Yeah, it was the first one we went to.
World Parkinson's Congress is coming to Phoenix next May. And if you can make it, I would highly suggest it, because it's a mix of people with Parkinson's, care partners, doctors, researchers. It's basically they're including us into their scientific Congress, and it's fascinating. And it's the first time I was in a room with more than like just a couple of young onset, and there's like 75 of us. One of them was like, whoa, it's like we can do stuff. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those people today.
Yeah, we have a global support group, I guess. Where our support circle of our PD community is global in that way. So we highly recommend. And this one happening in May is happening in Phoenix, Arizona. So easier to get there than the one in Barcelona or Kyoto. So recommended that you go and be open to finding your people, because they may not be in your area, and we get that. So you broaden your search and your ideas of what that support circle can look like.
Beck, somebody's asking for what is the name of your dance app?
Oh, it's called Body Groove. So if you find the link, I can't share links to everybody. So yeah. So just if you just search it, I think it's bodygroove.com. It is paid. It is not free. You have to pay like an annual fee to get access to all of their videos and programming, but it's highly recommended. Or just find one that's that's for you, or just that's it. I'm certain that's not the only one out there that offers that kind of programming. It's just being open to where you're going to find that thing that clicks and offers you your playtime or your support or whatever. Get resourceful. Comment: we were recently diagnosed. One of the things we have always enjoyed together is traveling. This has become more of a challenge. Can you speak to how we can continue this with a different paradigm? I hear you. Yeah, it changes everything, because the anxiety levels and the practical and the executive functioning is diminished, and it's just the stress level is up, and so are the symptoms, and off and ons, and managing that. If you're on medication, Larry has DBS, and so we're managing that less, but we totally understand timing that and everything. I hear you. I see you. It's tough. And the care partner is often the person that everything kind of falls upon then, because the person with Parkinson's is just managing their Parkinson's. And when you're traveling and in an airport or getting on trains or on a time schedule or whatever, then that's, they're able to manage less. And so it falls on us. So how can you speak to how we can continue this with a different paradigm? Yes. And then I'll let Larry talk too, but I manage my expectations. I changed my expectations, and I anticipated once, the first couple of times we traveled and things didn't go well, or we got really agitated with each other and things were not the same as they used to be, or we didn't realize he couldn't do this because we thought he still could, or new things show up when you're in different environments and different stress levels. And so I managed my expectations, and then anticipate is maybe the wrong term. I opened up my flexibility because I can be, when I'm the planner, and I can be a little rigid. And so I request of myself, and I establish this expectation for myself where I'm going to be a bit more flexible, a little more easygoing about how things are going to go when we're traveling, be more easygoing about Larry's reactions to things that may be unexpected and disruptive to us getting to where we need to be. And then being prepared as best I can, but then being okay when things don't go well. So it all, for me, is all about the mindfulness and the taking the breaths and going, okay, what can we do? Calming down. What can we do? What can we, right? And kind of reframing as we move forward in the travel situation. And and sadly, and I do get this, because Larry is relatively unable to adapt as much as we can as care partners, because we're more neurotypical, then a lot of that falls on us for us to adapt. So once I accepted that and stopped being angry about that, although sometimes that does make me a bit angry, once I kind of just accepted that's what I need to do in order for today to go well, our day of flights or whatever, then everything went easier. We relaxed into the day a little bit. We laughed through the changes and the things that didn't go well, and everything seemed to just move a little bit easier, and everybody's nervous system calmed down and settled into our situation, even when things didn't go well.
Yeah, and I will recommend this, the sunflower lanyard. It's for hidden disabilities, including Parkinson's disease. Mine has my picture on the back and says, I may have difficulty communicating with you. I may be unsteady on my feet or find it difficult to move. Please be patient. I can hear you and understand you. And then basically every airport, except for maybe a small one, a small city, has been trained on this. And so there's certain people in the airport and within the airlines that are trained. When they see this, they'll come up to you and go, how can I help you today? And then they'll escort you from place to place. They'll let you through the different stanchions so you can get in front of the line. You can always, whether you have this or not, you can always board early with Parkinson's and just say, I just need extra time, and they'll all let you on without question.
Yeah, on a practical basis. Yeah, that's great. That's great advice, Hanique. And that was something that we had to learn, is take the help that's offered.
Yes.
Or like when they say who needs to board early,
if you're in the airport
advantage of that for
a
Larry's
stopover,
yeah,
get a wheelchair, get somebody to drive you, because you're going to be exhausted by the time you get to the next gate, and you're going to spend all your energy walking through an airport, which is not what you want to do. And I build in a lot of extra time usually.
Yeah.
Just coffee.
I hope that answers the question about travel, but boy, do I hear you on that one. We are starting an exploratory research within Spanish speaking populations to inquire about how mutual support might be cultivated in partnership along with the way living with PD. Fantastic. And there are some organizations that are offering more things in different languages. But I unfortunately am not super knowledgeable about that. But if you're not, if you have enough people, if you have, a population of people in your city, but they're not feeling like they're being communicated with in their language, and the language that makes the most sense to them, and one they want to communicate with and express themselves in, then ask for that. Again, advocacy, asking for that, getting what you need, asking for the research and for the information that you need within a certain population that's something we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to be asking constantly for the things that we need, and it's not like it's a constant thing. But that's something that Larry and I learned and are still working on. It's like, okay, so if it's not there, there's a reason for it. Maybe they don't know it's a thing. Maybe we're not asking the right people, or the right people haven't brought it into the conversation. How can we advocate for that and advocate for those things that you need? We give the two of you a lot of credit for being so open about these issues. Thank you. We've had a lot of practice too.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it. We had a podcast for a long time where we talked about a lot of things, and there are some really open conversations in there as well. The 3 episodes that are the most popular and the most downloaded of the entire thing are episodes called "The Talk," and it's basically Larry and I just having really hard conversations publicly.
Really
So
hard conversations.
and normalizing those conversations, that was our intent, and it was hard, and but so many people identify with that. Care partners, people in partnership, people managing their relationships with Parkinson's, and and struggling with that, as we all are. So let's keep those conversations going and normalizing that.
Just search "When Life Gives You Parkinson's," and it's even on YouTube now. So
And thank you, Jackie, for putting this together, and for
yeah,
Hannah
thanks,
before
Jackie.
you, and for the program for offering this series.
We appreciate you guys so much, and maybe we could get you back in the future.
Sure, happy to
And
come back.
maybe some of our care partners and people with Parkinson's here can stay in touch with you using your email through the
Sure.
PD Avengers. Maybe they'll see you at the World Parkinson's Congress, like you said.
Yes,
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your night and the rest of your week. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
great.